to our global listeners. How you doing? You know what? I always say Mondays are the best days. Why? I get to be here. I get to join you. I get to have a conversation with you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio global listeners. My name is Fadhwa, and I am your host of the Gems of Life show. We're right here in studio, and I just want to say thank you and welcome. And you know what? I am actually today, I have another host joining me. Miss Jantu is not here today, so I have TYB. Hello, how are you? Happy Monday.
I am great. Happy Monday to you too. I'm so happy to be on your program, this esteemed program of yours.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind. You're so kind. I think the last time I was here, and I want to apologize to our global listeners. We haven't come in live and played the show live to you for different reasons, but here we are. And we made sure that the shows that you listened to or watched actually are shows that maybe you had not gotten a chance to listen to or watch. So that was another opportunity for you to get to know who we are. Yeah. So how are you, TOB? How you doing? How was your weekend? It's
Well,
Monday. Yeah.
yes, the weekend was full of what would I say? So a lot of things happened, but I'm so glad that we were able to overcome that,
Mm,
and that we had the privilege of having to have a conversation with the Minister for Women,
mhm.
Gender Equality and Youth. That's Honorable Marcy Ian last Saturday, and it was awesome. It was awesome. She's a woman of integrity, and it was one of the best interviews yet on this radio station. So
Mm,
she capped it all up, and it was followed also with a new program that we are trying to develop. It's called Community Conversations, where we bring up a topic for discussion, topics that affects our community
mm.
across Canada and across the globe. So that pilot is ongoing, and it seems a lot of people are interested in it because um, it's gotten to a point where we have to talk to each other. We have to speak with each other as a community. And without that, we won't get anywhere. We are not going to get anywhere at all.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. You're so right, right? I mean, in terms of community and community engagement and bringing different uh, programs actually on Love Bay, right? And just goes to show the growth. And I just want to say that Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio has celebrated 4 years
Oh,
recently.
yes.
So it just goes to show the growth within, how we are growing. So just to short, like I just want to hear more about the 4 year celebration and the journey that it took to get you where you are.
Well, the journey has been very eventful. It has been, there hasn't been any sort of challenges. The whole thing came about as a result of the fact that if we look around as a community, both in the United States or in Canada or elsewhere, as a people, we don't have that infrastructure to be able to tell our stories. We don't. We
Mm,
are at the beck and call of other radio stations or community organizations. So what happened was that after myself and my group, a musical group, the African Guitar Summit, had won the Juno Award, um, unbeknownst to me, a friend of mine had taken one of our CDs to a radio station and said, you know what, he knew the disc jockey and said, oh, my friends won the Juno, so you know what, can you play this track for me because I love them so much. He said, okay, yeah, sure, I'll play it. So he turned around to leave, expecting that the track would be played. And when he said he turned around, he saw the person throw the CD somewhere. He doesn't know where he threw it. So he didn't say anything. So after a year or two, he came and he told me, he says, TYB, this is what happened. And I wasn't angry. I wasn't angry at all, but rather I used lemon to make lemonade.
Mm.
So that's how love, and I said to myself, okay, if this is happening, why don't we have our own station, our own radio station to communicate with ourselves? So initially it was about music, coming to play music. But then after about a month, we decided, no, we are not all about music because we've made ourselves to be defined
Mm.
either by being uh, sports people, musicians. But when it comes to say being a lawyer, an engineer, all those kind of stuff belonging to the boardrooms and making decisions, we are left out
Mm.
of that kind of
Mm.
frame. So what I decided was that we would sit back and then introduce programs that would sort of help us grow as a community. Because I believe I'm a man of few words, but sometimes, like when I want to get it across out there, I say my piece. And the reason being that we have a story, or we have stories to tell as a
Mm.
community. And I always say that if you have a story and you don't tell the story yourself, and you get somebody else to tell the story for you, it becomes his story or yours, her story.
Mm.
And we know what history has done to us as a people.
Yeah.
It doesn't define who we are. It's all negative upon negativity, as opposed to the positive side of what we have as a people. So that's how we introduce new programs to educate ourselves about Africa, our history, the Caribbean, our history, Africa, Caribbean, they're one and the same. One is from the other.
Mm.
So we came together and introduced various topics about human growth, about the gems of life, woohoo, uh, the marriage hour, suffering in silence, voices of the millennials, our history, today's Africa. The list goes on and on and on and on. And we are introducing new programs so that we'll be able to speak and talk to each other. And the pilot that I was talking about is about the fact that we have to be able to be cross country, right? Introduce topics and we can discuss as a community because we don't talk to each other. We don't. It's either, oh, I'm a Jamaican Canadian or I'm a Somali Canadian, Ghanaian Canadian. All these things doesn't help
Mm.
because it doesn't define who we are. We have to be able to go out there and say that, okay, we face common problems that needs to be addressed. So we have to talk. So that's how Love Day came about, and we have been through that stages, and here we are after 4 years. We still up and climbing, and
Mm.
we hope for the best for the near future because there's a lot more work to be done with respect to our community.
Mm. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. It has been 4 years, and I can actually see the growth. And I'm very fortunate to be part of that as well, to be part of the Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio family. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That was just so beautiful and powerful. So I know we have Eddie who's just
Hello.
joined us.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Welcome. I was giving you
Thank
time just to settle in.
Yes.
Yeah. How are you? How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Happy to
That's
have you here with us.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so sorry. I had to run out and get dinner for the kids. Then I came back and then everything was just topsy turvy. But I'm here now. So we're good.
That's what life is.
Exactly.
So no worries. Part of life. It's part of life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining in.
Yes.
I thought, why not have somebody come in and join us? And I know TYB is keeping me company here today. I
Mm-hmm.
miss having Miss Jantu on the show. She's usually co-hosts the show with me. I love being in her company. And I'm like, I'm not looking at that screen and talking on that mic by myself. I want to have some people with me.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So tell me a little bit, Eddie. You joining us. I'm going to ask directly,
Hmm.
out of your experience with Love Bay, how has that been for you? Even maybe specifically with the Gems of Life show.
Hmm.
Is any things you'd like to share?
Love Bay has been amazing, actually. And we're actually doing some personal work together,
Mm,
and like they are absolutely amazing people. Like I mean, like, I cannot ask for a better duo than those two right there.
mhm.
Thank
Like they
you.
are absolutely phenomenal. They are a blessing in disguise. So I'm really thankful for them.
Yeah, absolute dynamic duo,
Dynamic, exactly.
Miss Jantu and TUIB.
Yes.
Dynamic duo.
Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know we haven't had a chance, TYB, from the past couple of weeks to continue on our conversation. I know a couple of months ago we started working on a vision for our global listeners. So I want to actually just come back. Remember, we talked about accountability. So I want to come back actually to just re re-energize our community, our global listeners, in terms of where are you at? Where are you at? Because I know pre-Ramadan we were planning on that, and then Ramadan came, and we didn't get a chance to actually dig in. So I want to spark that conversation back to our global listeners. Where are you at in terms of your vision? Where are you at in terms of your action steps? Where are you at? And if you're looking to get maybe some clarity or some support, I am here today, and you can call in. I'll invite you maybe to share the number. You give us a call or text, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Any questions?
And folks out there, if you are watching us or if you are listening to us on Love Day Radio and you want to chime in, the number is plus one plus 437 778 3299. 437-778-3299. I added the word plus. It's a WhatsApp number, so you can call us from Antarctica, Mars, Jupiter, anywhere you feel like calling us. You can do that. That is. And by the way, too, a lot of people ask as to why Canada, when they try to call in, they are not able to get it, and the reason is that Canada, like one of those countries, few countries in this on the globe, around the globe, doesn't have country numbers. We have city codes. We don't have country code like 23300. No, Canada doesn't have that. So our numbers, we use city code. So it's plus one. You can add one, 437 778 3299. 437-778-3299. Miss Fadhwa.
Mm, thank you. That's a good, fun fact that you just shared there. Yeah. Yeah. Please send in your messages, call in. We'll love to connect with you. I have missed connecting with you and talking to you. And I am here. I'm here to support you like always. If you have any questions, I am happy to support you. If you want to chat, I am here. So let's open up those lines. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. I want to bring in Eddie since you joined us. Is there, since you're here, what are
Hmm.
some of the things? Yeah. So share a little bit, as long as you're comfortable with what you want to share.
Yeah.
Um, that, you're here on the show, and maybe sometimes in our journey, somebody else can benefit.
Right.
So I am here at your disposal.
Um. Let me just start off by saying that life is amazing. Life is literally what you make it. Um. We all have ups and downs. We all have things that we go through on the daily that's a struggle. Um. But once you know where you're going, and once you have a vision, kind of like what you guys were talking about before, once you have a vision and once you have a goal, and you set towards that goal and towards that vision, the future's unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I went out with a love bait today. Um, and like, it was just so amazing because it's like, I mean, I'm only 35 years old, and it's like you see the older generation, how they kept friends for 30 something years, and it's like we went out today, for a meeting, and Miss Janice met up with a friend for over 30 years, and it's just so amazing, just like that you see, even though they hadn't seen each other for so long, but yet, like, it's like they never stopped talking, you know. I mean, that made an impact on my life because it's like I have friends, yeah, but like we now our age, we don't see friendships lasting for 30 years and 40 years and 50 years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um and like, it just so happened today that like a payment was supposed to be made, and Miss Janice's friend was like, you know what, don't worry about it, because I know you, because we're friends. And it's like, wow. Like, it's almost like if I could have a friend for 30 years, like, I wish that that would happen to me, you know? But
It's like that's so true though, right? Like as you're sharing this, I am reflecting in my relationship. I didn't even think that's how long we've been friends. I have a friend who I have known close to 30 years.
hmm,
Close to 30 years. Yeah.
wow,
Yeah. And you know, the amazing thing is sometimes we take each other for granted
exactly.
and we
Yeah,
don't realize, you know, how
yeah,
far we've come, how many storms we've went through. You
yes,
know, the struggles and the journey that we had to overcome in our lives. You know, somebody who's there thick and thin with you, right? And it is like you can I truly believe right now in my life I cannot make new friends,
honestly, it's
right?
difficult.
Because it takes, because friendship takes time to
Yes,
cultivate, right?
yes,
So I know if I'm going to meet someone, it's not going to take me 2 years, 5 years, right? We may meet, you know, I may meet somebody and maybe 2 years later, that's it. You know, like you meet people in seasons, they come to your life in seasons. So
definitely.
some will come to you this just as a passing through, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and some will come and stay there for a little bit, and some are there for life, right? So it's actually recognizing, you know, bless you.
Thank you.
It's recognizing the people who are coming in your life, bless
Yes.
you, that are there for a purpose. They're there to support you in that journey during that period of time. And they're friends who will come for just a period of time because that's what it was meant, to
Mm-hmm.
just be in your space for that period of time. And there are
Definitely.
those who will be there for a lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I get it. I get it. You know, TYB, you want to share?
Yeah, it's true. I've had from high school. I met a lot of good people, and we're still good friends after so many years. We act like brothers and sisters, and it's good. Like Eddie said, in this day and age, it's very difficult to keep friends.
Mm-hmm.
It is because we become so accustomed to social media, so we become distracted
Yeah.
Mm,
from what we used to do. Because even if you look at the family structure today,
Yep.
you see father, dinner, father, mother, the children, everybody on their cell phones,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what are they chatting about? Nobody knows. Everybody is going their separate ways. So there's not that structure where you can say that I have this friend that I can rely on them. Because if you talk in terms of the millennials, for instance, right? Um, the excuse me, the attention span is just there. But then if you have to go beyond the call of duty to say, I want to explain this to you, the first thing, oh, I know. But you just leave them, they come back. I'm saying this to say my youngest son, at some point, he was going to do something. And I looked at it, I said, you know what? No, no, this is not going to work. Oh, your dad, for you, this is old time stuff, those kind of stuff. So I kept quiet. It's all right. After about a week or two, I asked him, I said, how did it go? He started scratching his head. And he said, I didn't work out, but I'll try again. I said, yes, you are a young man, but the whole thing is that you are young, but you don't have that experience. You can be young, but not that experience past your parents. Because what I've been through in my era is not the same thing that you are going through. Because you are looking at things, there's some things that I quite remember using those old phones, remember?
Mm-hmm.
The dial pad, just going through those kind of stuff. But today it's not like that,
Mm-mm.
right? So we've we've moved from one generation to the other. I understand generations change, but the whole thing is that life is still the same. Life is still the same. You have to lead your life, with those kind of preventative measures that will not put you into so many problems. It's still the same. But technology has redefined our purposes.
Right.
But the question is it leading us into an era or an environment where we can feel so comfortable? It's a yes and no thing. But to bring it back, it's tough to keep relationships going in this particular era that we live in. But for me personally, I think I have kept my friends close, and we are still friends from high school over 30 years, 30, 40 years. We're still great friends,
Yeah.
that we are inseparable. It feels like we are from the same mother, but there are hundreds of them. Whenever we see each other, it's like, oh, there's no animosity out there because we've gotten to a point where we see life as it is. We cannot go past life. We rather should follow life where it will lead you. And by doing that, you're also being careful as to not put yourself into any kind of an area where it will come back to hurt and to haunt you. That's my take on life right now in relationships. Yes.
Mm.
And like it's so true what you're saying, because my parents are 67 years old, and my dad still has friends from high school today, and like they talk like if they never, like if like no time went between them. And I sit there in amazement, and then they talk about their high school years, and then they talk about their teachers, and they talk about this and they talk about that, and I just sit there in amazement because I'm like, I wish I had friends who are loyal and who are good, you know, because it's kind of like what Mr. T was saying, is that how this generation is all phone based, like if you don't see your friend, you could FaceTime them, or
Mhm.
if or you could Zoom them, or you could do this, or you could do that. So it's kind of like the lack of like interaction between them causes some distance.
Mhm. Oh.
And 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 it's like whenever you have friends who you could get together with, and you could talk to them about back in the day, or you could talk to them about nowadays and stuff like that. Like it's actually really interesting, just like hearing like the older generations speak about their friends versus today, because like I have two kids, they're 6 and 3, and I mean just like what Mr. T was saying, around the table we're all on our phones. Nobody really has a conversation anymore. So now it's like I have to be mindful of the example that I'm leading for my children. So now on the dinner table, I say, okay, all phones go inside a basket, and nobody touches their phones until after dinner. And we all put our phones inside our baskets, and then we talk about our day, you know? Because it's like, I think that lack of interaction and communication could really hurt the future generation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, it's not interpersonal anymore. like like I remember back in the day when I was younger. I sound so old talking about back in the day. But back in the day when I was younger, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, we never had cell phones. Like we literally had to talk around the dinner table. Like we were forced to have conversation because we didn't have technology back then. So and then I think that that's what made families so much stronger back then as well, is the communication that they had.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I mean, you touched on something really key here, right? Communication and connection.
Mhm.
Communication and connection. And it's so easy to swipe and get on the phone than
Yeah.
to actually have a conversation with somebody,
Right.
right? And to build relationships, you got to have conversation with people. So even, right, you have, you have people who rather text than actually call, right?
I'm one of
So,
those people. I'm not gonna lie.
and and
I
and and you know what I do is, this is what I do, and everybody who knows me, they know me. They'll send me a text, I will reply with an audio. I will
yeah,
reply with an audio, because I want to connect. Even though we cannot talk, I want to have that connection. I don't want to just read something. If I want to read something, I want to get a book and read it. I don't want to read a message from a phone, right?
yeah,
So I'm always an audio person. I'm a speaker. And yes, I'm a writer, but not in terms of communicating. So I think to keep that going, to really keep the relationship going. And guess what, Eddie? We can still cultivate those relationships. We
definitely.
can still rekindle those old relationships with people that we know,
Hmm.
right? I always say,
Sorry.
wealthy people, bless you, and people who are very successful, they say you are the sum of five people that you keep around you, right?
Definitely.
And sometimes it's better to have one friend than five. It's better to have one friend than 10, right? How are they helping you grow? And in this day and age, it's good to actually reflect on who is around you. You may have maybe one friend who's very close that you can be there for each other and really depend, support one another. But then you can have other circles of friends that are helping you maybe in your growth, in your development, in your other aspects of your life, right? So it's never too late. It's never too late to cultivate those relationships, the healthy relationships. And that can be part of the goal creation. You know, I want to have, I want to connect with people. How do I do that? So I'll give you a real, I
Hmm.
challenged myself yesterday. Okay. So there was an event happening in Toronto, Sunday after morning, all day. Apparently, it was a 3-day event in Mississauga. Um, and myself, knowing myself, I'm not, you see me talking like this, but I'm not the kind of person who goes out and talk to people and voluntarily, like, oh, I'm just going to go out. And I'm not that kind of a person unless I have, and it's a habit, unless I have somewhere to go or I have a reason to go. I usually don't leave my house. It's just an old habit that I'm actually breaking away from.
Hmm.
And I don't like driving by myself. So I'm thinking, how am I going to go there by myself? Right. And it was raining. So I had reasons not to go anywhere. It was raining. I'm by myself. It's about an hour away. Why should I even go? I get up. I made the intention. I dressed up for success. I got in the car and I turned on the ignition. I'm like, are you really going to go?
Here we go.
I'm driving, right? Do you need some? Oh my God, it's raining. Oh, it's gloomy. Oh my God. You don't like driving in the rain. I know. I'm just having this inner dialogue, right? And I'm like,
Hmm.
we're going. So I had a million voices in my head, right? And I'm like, how can you go by yourself? How are you going to talk to people by yourself? You don't do this. This is out of your zone, right? And I'm almost in Guelph. And I'm like, oh, you can turn around. You're not too far gone. You haven't gone far. You can turn around. Oh my God, look at the traffic. It's pouring rain, you know? And all the way, I found myself in Mississauga. I pull in and I'm looking and I'm like, wow, I don't know anybody. I don't know a single soul here. What am I going to do? I'm like, okay, we're still going to go. I get in, I have my ticket, I walk in. Finally, it's like, whew, This is my zone. I love meeting people. I love connecting to people. I love talking to people. You see, like I went from just that part that says, no, stay home, to a point where I'm walking into a space and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I was there for almost 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And I spoke to almost 80% of the people. I went into the booths, I talked to people. I was pretty much talking to everybody, you know? So why am I sharing this? Is we are social beings.
Sorry,
Yes.
allergies.
You have
Sorry.
allergies, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Change of weather. you know? So we are social beings, right? And sometimes we may not have the friends. And I know that's the reality for a lot of people too. We may not have friends. My childhood friend, my closest, she's my sister. She lives an hour and a half away from me. So I don't get to communicate, see her, right? But we talk over the phone. And it's not the same as meeting people. So to feed that part of our social being, it's actually feeding on other people, just connecting. And it feeds our soul when we're actually talking to other people. When you stop for a moment and you have a conversation with someone, when you give that person just a minute or two, hi, how are you? How you doing? How's your day going? Just that alone, it does something to us. It does something to us. So I know friendship and relationships does something to us, but sometimes we don't have access to that. And the pandemic has taught us that.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And
That.
talking about the pandemic, for instance, a lot hasn't been said about the children. When they were home, the connection wasn't there. You know, they wake up in the morning always thinking about going to school to meet their friends and all those kind of stuff, and it
Mhm.
all shut down.
Mhm.
But the question is, as parents, have we sat back to look at how it's affected them?
Mhm.
The adults have been very selfish. We always think about ourselves, but the
Yeah.
kids, because I'm saying this to say that the mental health program was ongoing one time, and a lady called in and she said she sees some differences within, about her daughter, who was 5 at the time.
Mm.
And Dr. Tapo asked her, what is it? She says, well, the kid comes up and says, Mommy, is everything okay? And he says, what? Why are you asking? He says, you're not smiling anymore, 5-year old.
Mhm.
So that's why she came out and said, and she spoke with the presenter and says, yes, we always underestimate the kids.
Mm.
The cutoff point from COVID time until the end of COVID did a lot of harm because they were not able to connect with their friends. Everything was online and stuff. It's not the same. It
Mm.
is absolutely not the same. Just like what you were saying, the connection, you wanted to make a connection, but at the same time, going there were so many things. Go, don't go. Go, don't go. Go, don't go. But at the end of the day, you made a decision. So you know what? I'm going. And at the end of the day, you felt fulfilled as to what happened prior and to the time that you finished. Because now, if we look at our kids, they are happy going back to school
Mhm.
because they have friends that they missed. And the thing is that the question is, have we sat back to think about how it affected them and that they need counseling and stuff like that? I don't see that being discussed in the media. It's all about the adults, adults,
Mm.
adults, 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 adults. But the kids, the next generation, we have to also pay attention to them. So this just to say that relationships, contact relationships is very, very important in our life because sometimes you're also like you're on the subway or you're on the bus. Everybody, you see people terrified. They are all on their cell phones and stuff like that. You see, they are terrified going to where they work.
Yeah.
The thing is that why has it gotten to that point? Is this something that society is sort of trying as much as possible to say, we are in a different kind of era, so I'll forget about it. We'll get over it. I
Mm.
think contact relationships. That's what I would say. Contact relationships is very, very vital to our growth. But the social distances and the social those kind of stuff that was brought upon us was, I mean, did more harm than good. And I'm so glad that we didn't go that far for it to become institutionalized, so that everybody would, you can't talk to that person. You cannot. You have to stay some distance. That thing, that kind of policy, I didn't follow it, and I wasn't going to follow it because I needed to talk to people, to be, to talk to me. Hi, how you doing? Stuff like that. But to text somebody, say, how are you? It's not the same thing. You don't know what the person is saying. Oh, I'm fine. Maybe the person is not fine, because most of the time I meet Eddie on the street. Hi, Eddie, how you doing? Maybe Eddie is not has a headache. Eddie, how you doing? The first thing that we've been made to follow is that, oh, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're not fine.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, all that I'm saying is that contact relationships and getting to talk to people, on the phone. I mean, it's not the same thing than to see the person, talk to the person and stuff like that. Leaving the audio, like you said, Fadhwa, it's also great, because you are talking, in essence, you are talking to that person indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking or you're speaking with the person indirectly. And let's look at it this way: the moment you do that, people respond right away than
Yep.
the text.
Yep.
Because they've heard your voice.
You can't ignore that, right? You
That's
can't ignore
right.
the message. But I want to come back to what you were talking about, right? Especially when it comes to our children. um, Eddie, like myself, I have two kids. So my daughter is 20 and my son is 14. And
Mm-hmm.
a couple of days ago, I was just talking to my son, and he was actually literally counting how many years he's been between, from kindergarten to grade 8. He's going to grade 9 in September. And there was a lot of interruption before the pandemic. We traveled, right? He was in a different school. So when we looked, that's when it dawned on me. It was like, oh my goodness, he only spent this much amount of time in school, and then pandemic hit. This is how much time he spent. So I know even it impacted him. He's, especially the social skills. And I know it's not just him. I know a lot of kids.
Yeah.
What I also know is I work with clients, actually, who are youth, right up until the age of 30, where the past 5 years, things have really, really shifted for them, right? And then including pandemic. So you get to a point where now you have youth who are actually even confused where their life is, the uncertainty, right? So I can see not just the adults, but I can actually see the youth, the teenagers, and then the young kids. There's a huge shift. And I know, knowing my own experience and how things are shifting right now and where we are, I had a question. One parent actually said, she asked me, she said, I'm just worried there's been too much damage, and maybe I may not be able to do anything for my kids. And any listener listening in, to this, and that if this is your concern, I'm going to say that this is the last thing that you want to think about. Because the moment we think it has done a lot of damage to our children, then we're going to look at them from that lens. Oh my God, they're damaged. What are we going to do? And everything you do is going to come from that. And the children pick up, they pick up on our energy. Like you said, that little child told her mom, you don't smile. My daughter told me this years ago, and this was pre-pandemic. Mom, you don't smile anymore. Mom, you're very monotonic. There was no life in me.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't see it. So children, we pass our pain to our children. Our children see the pain. We just don't see it, but our children see it. They
I mean, like,
know when
especially
we
like,
are alive. Yeah, yeah. So
I mean,
it's never
especially
too
like as
late.
mothers,
Yeah.
it's like because we were one with our children,
Hmm.
our emotions and our feelings and everything follows them for the rest of their life.
Hmm.
You know, like, like, um, like it's like the other day I was having a conversation with my 6-year old, and I was like, Emmy, how are you doing? She goes, Mom, I don't know. I'm like, why'd you say that? She goes, because you're not happy. Mind you, I've never had a conversation with her about me not being happy before. She's like, Mom, you're not happy. So it's like, I don't know how to feel because you're not happy. And I literally had to think about it within myself and internally look within myself and ask myself, why am I not happy? How is this affecting my 6-year-old seeing mommy not being happy? And and then also like come back to like the pandemic, kind of like what Mr. T was saying with the pandemic. She was in her first year of school was COVID. She didn't know anything else except looking at a screen until she went to school the next year. And then she's like, Mommy, I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this and I had so much fun at school and I love school and da 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 da. And it's like, imagine for those children who went to school pre-pandemic, now they're on screens for the pandemic. Like, imagine what it did to them mentally. Mental health issues need to be spoken more about, not only for minorities, but also for children as well. Because it's like we don't realize how it actually affected these like these little kids. You know what I mean? Like they might be suffering with depression, but we don't know it because we don't talk about it until they get older and then they're damaged because of what happened when they were younger. I think that we could like stop a lot of what happens with these children and the generation to come by just talking. Hey, how are you? How are you feeling? Tell mommy what's really going on with you. Tell daddy what's really going on with you. Tell auntie and uncle what's really going on with you. You know, and then like just sit and just listen to them. And then again, it all comes back to technology, right? Is that like I feel like we don't have patience to sit and listen anymore because we're like, oh, Instagram does this, oh, TikTok does this, or I need to go watch this live on this, or I need to go do this, or I need to go check this. You know what I mean? So it's like whenever like our kids start talking to us, we're like, oh man, just shut up already. Like just go away. I've heard you all day. Just go away, you know?
Yeah. And I actually wanna come back and bring it back a little bit, okay? Because I listen to a lot of words and language that also we use, right? That we also have to bring awareness. First of all, number one thing that I always say, and this is not just from my own experience, but also when I'm working with my clients. Number one thing is that we cannot help our children
Right.
when we ourselves are unconscious of what's happening within ourselves,
Yeah.
right? We cannot recognize what our children need when we ourselves are unaware what's happening with us. So, like how powerful your daughter said, you're not happy. So looking at our children take the responsibility for our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Our children take the responsibility for our emotions and feelings and how we feel, and they internalize that. You mentioned earlier, you know, the emotions and feelings our children take it, they take it and they embody for the rest of their lives. I want to come back to that because that we can break.
Mm-hmm.
They will take it for the rest of their lives unless we don't do something about it.
Right.
Right. And it starts with us.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with us, not with our children. It starts with us. We have to do the healing. We have to do the work. We have to release what is there within ourselves. And in doing so, automatically we change how we interact with our children, how we connect with our children.
Yes.
And in that, it changes them.
Yes.
So our children are not damaged because we are not damaged.
Right.
Just because we are disconnected doesn't mean we are damaged.
Yes.
Oftentimes I hear, oh, we're damaged goods. No, we are not. Oh, I'm broken. No, you're not. We are just disconnected. We are disconnected from who we are, from our truth, from our essence, right? And when we are disconnected, we carry our children in our womb for that 9 months, and our children take that from us, just like we did from our parents or
Yep.
from our, and then we give birth to these children, we bring these beautiful children to this earth. And guess what? They continue carrying what we have been carrying.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't do something right now, this moment, not only are we talking about our children, we're talking about the next generation to come, generations to come, because it's generational. But
Yep.
it starts with us. The breaking of the cycle starts with us.
Yep.
And I think the key thing right now to every parent right now, or caregiver, or even anyone who's actually, I always say, if you're looking to have children, before you have children, do some cleansing, do
Yes.
some inner healing,
Yes.
cleanse whatever it is that you're carrying, because it's the child is gonna carry that, right?
Definitely.
But we don't choose to be this way. We don't choose to be unhappy. Nobody goes out in the world choosing to be unhappy,
That's right.
right? But for our children to notice that, and what they will do is they will take responsibility. And in that moment is the moment for us to say, okay, enough is enough. I'm breaking this cycle, right? And to even have that conversation, you've noticed that. Wow, thank you for bringing this to my attention, and then come back to within ourselves and be curious and ask ourselves, what is happening within me? And then do that inner work. Yeah. TYB?
Yeah, I hear what I mean. Both of you have said. It's like I said before, adults have become selfish,
Mm-hmm.
and like Eddie Mary said, we haven't sat back to talk about our relationships. Eddie Mary also said about the mental health thing within our community. We don't talk more about it. It's a taboo within the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy that last Saturday, when the Minister of Women, Gender Equality and Youth, Mercy in Canada, was being interviewed, she dwelt on that we don't talk about it. And that goes on to sort of disturb us in the community. We don't talk about it. If you don't talk about it, it's oh no, everything is fine. Everything is not fine. Mental health is not a taboo.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's all that I can say is that we can transform our anguish and pain, if I can put it that way, into inspiration for others. We are pained, but at the same time, when it comes to talking about mental health, yeah, we can talk about our experiences. It's like I'm saying that even not feeling good about yourself is a mental health issue. Not feeling even good about yourself, and mental health is not. It's very broad, and that it's not a stigma. But the thing is that I'm going back to the kids too, like
Mhm.
Eddie Mary said, and then you also said, if we don't find a solution to the problems that has been caused by the COVID situation, the COVID era, 2 years ago, we are going to see a serious kind of situations in the near future. And we would sit back and say, why didn't we look at it? Why didn't we talk to our children? Because Eddie Mary was saying it's the same thing. It's a mirror image of what the young kid asked the mother. So why are you smiling, mom? As a matter of fact, to go back to the conversation between the mother and the child, she came back the following week and said, "Well, I explained to her what was actually going on, and she was okay." And she came to the realization that we underestimate children. They see stuff, they don't say it. And even if they say, coming from an African background, Fadhwa, you say something, keep quiet. You can't talk to an elderly person like that. You cannot do that. We're trained to do that. You are even trained to such an extent that when your dad is coming from work and you're home, your dad is coming and everybody goes down. to sit down quietly
Mm-hmm.
as if nothing has happened because you were scared of your dad saying, or your mom or somebody saying, oh, T did this and that. Why did you have to do that and stuff like that? So that kind of thing within the African community is still there. It has damaged us to such an extent that we couldn't even talk to our dad about school and stuff like that. You were scared to go and talk to your father.
Mm-hmm.
You were rather comfortable going to talk to speak with your mother. And you can't have it both, you can't have it one sided because both parents made you. So you should be able to feel free to talk to them. The question is, are we talking to our kids to find out how they did in school, their relationships and stuff like that? I don't think it's there, but we have to look at that because contact relationships um, make us who we are. It's a gem of life. We cannot escape it. We have to look at it because the future, to me right now, if we don't address it, is gloomy. That's what I can say at this particular point in time. It's Fadhwa.
Yeah, so true. Like, I mean, mental health is real. Mental health is real. And I can, in 2017, I talk about that, right? But I didn't know what it was back then. I didn't know that, when the doctor told me you have signs of depression, I looked at him, I'm like, he's crazy. Me? Depressed? No way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can't be. I can't be.
Yeah,
But I,
it's like let me know. It's like somebody sleeping and said, the person is snoring. Hey, you're sleeping. He said, oh no, I'm not sleeping. But you
yeah,
were snoring, you were sleeping, you were la la la. No, we don't
absolutely.
accept it. Yes, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
it is real. It is real. And we associate, with something else, right? Oh, it can't happen to me. It can't happen to me. But how do you know, right? And I know where I was at that point in my life. I was in a very dark place and I didn't even know what that was. And I did make a radical, bold rescue. I had to rescue me. And in that moment, it was just like, get out of here, just get out. And I got my one-way ticket, purchased a one-way ticket, sold everything, and I took my two kids and I left and I went back to Africa. And I
Well,
was there for 18 months. Yeah. I had to rescue me. I had to rescue me in that moment. Right. That was the right decision for me at that moment. Right. Because it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call. If I'm lost now, what is going to happen in a year's time from today? That's what scared me. Yeah. And for us to actually, that's why I'm very passionate doing what I do right now. Why? Because I know we can't, being in the dark place is a temporary place. It's only temporary.
definitely.
We can get out of it. We can get out of it. It's 2023 and here I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What sometimes we are in this dark place and we think this is it. This is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life and there is no other life for me. And I just want to say to every single person who is experiencing that right now, I just want to say, there's light. There's light. Just look forward. Not down. Just look forward and you will see it. You will find it. Because your life is filled with light and it's within you.
Mm-hmm.
So much light. So much light and brightness and life within you. Right? And just all I'm asking is for you to just open that just a little bit and you will see it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. It's like um, we need to make certain sacrifices, and just like you did, you have to get out of the system to rediscover yourself because sometimes it's very difficult to make certain decisions. We say that, oh, you know what, I'm making this decision, but what is it? Is it going to be good for me or myself? And that's why I come back to say adults have become selfish because at the same time too, the kids might have understood it, whether they understood it or not. It was okay because you get into the aircraft. You have to save yourself in the event of a pressure. Make sure you're okay before you attend to people. So if you're okay, then you will have the energy to take care of them. So the decision was great, And then you went back into the community that you grew up in, and then you really discovered yourself. You said, "Look, I'm ready to face the world right now. So let me go back in there." And here you are,
And I want to come
doing.
back. Yeah, and I want
Yeah,
to come back to AB. When you said selfish, sometimes we have to do the selfish thing,
yeah, yeah.
right? We
Mhm.
have to do the selfish thing, not just for ourselves, because when you make that selfish decision, it's the betterment of your children as well,
Yes,
right?
yes,
In that moment, I had to do what I had to do in that moment. I was thinking for my children, yes, but in that moment, I had to think about me. I can't be the mother that I want to be if I'm not in the right space, mental space, physical space, emotionally, right? So some we have, and that, I think for me, I've redefined the selfish now, and I don't look at it as selfish. I look at it as self-love. It's self-care. You got to take care of you first. I know I have two children, and I always say this: I'm a single parent. I have two children, but guess what? When it comes to big decisions, I have to put me first
yes,
before my children, and I say that. Why? Because I know if I don't do that, I won't be able to do what I need to do for them. They'll be fine based on the decision that I make. But if I say, oh, I'm doing it for my children, they will suffer. I've walked away from marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I didn't put them there. I said, if I stay in this marriage because of my children, they will suffer.
Yep.
So
indeed.
I had to, so for me, that I had to take care of me
First, yeah.
and make that, even you can say, selfish decision or bold selfish decision, because I had to do that so that I can give them the life they desire, and that would fulfill their desires, right? So I don't even use the word selfish, and you know what, it's okay. And sometimes I make selfish decisions for the betterment of them, right? For the betterment of them. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like I was married before as well, and and it got to a point in my marriage where neither my ex husband or I were happy in the marriage, and and our daughter was a baby at that time. I had to look within myself and be like, as much as I don't want a broken home for my daughter, yet I had to do what's right for me.
Hmm.
Because the faster that I get out of there is the faster that happiness could start, and it's the faster that her healing could start.
Hmm.
Even e- even as a 1 year old, you got to realize that how everybody has emotions, whether they're a newborn, a toddler, a teenager, an adult, a preteen. Everybody has emotions, and everybody shows emotions differently. And and I remember when my ex husband and I, we were going through a really, really, really rough patch. Like after the whole divorce, like there was a time when like we just hated each other, and it got to a point where our daughter looked at me and she was like, "Mommy, why does Daddy hate me?"
Oh.
Like and that crushed me. Cause imagine a 3 year old coming up to you. I'm actually going to actually cry, cause it's like really emotional. Like imagine a 3 year old coming up to you
Hmm.
and asking you, "Mommy, why does a parent hate me?"
Hmm.
When you're healing yourself, how do you answer your child that question? Like it's like I was battling such depression at that time. Like I wanted to commit suicide so many times. Like I remember taking a knife and putting it to my wrist and being like, you know what? I would be better off if I'm not here. And I literally had to stop and think, if I'm not here, who's going to raise my child for me? Nobody could do a job like a parent. So if I'm not here, who's going to raise my child for me? And and I'm so thankful now that mental health is such a major issue now, because I'm going through counseling right now, counseling and therapy right now. And the things that I'm learning about myself, I would have never known it unless if I went through this process of healing, right?
Mhm.
And it's like healing is such a powerful thing, not only for you, but also for your children as well.
Yeah. You're actually breaking, by you doing this, you're actually breaking that cycle,
Yeah.
right? And in doing that, you had to now do, you had to take care of you,
Yep.
right? And it's so powerful, and thank you for sharing that beautiful story, because it's so powerful. Oftentimes, this is what I hear and I see often, is that when we stay in these kind of relationships, what are we trying to teach our kids? What are we teaching our girls, and what are we teaching our boys, right? Because these boys will be men one day. So this boy who sees this relationship and says, oh, this is how I'm going to treat my woman. This
Mm-hmm.
is the man that I'm going to be. That's role modeling, right? The behavior. The woman, the young girl is going to be a woman, is going to be a mother one day. The boy is going to be a father, a husband. What are we teaching the young girls? It's okay to be treated in this manner,
Mm-hmm.
right? We model. So for me, I think the biggest thing that we can do, the biggest gift, the greatest gift we can give our children, is model the life that we want for them through ourselves.
Definitely.
They have to see it through us.
Mm-hmm.
They have to see it through us. This is the model. This is, you define it. You set the standard, not the norm, what everybody's used to. You set the standard. And when they look at you, they'll be like, wow, if mommy could do it, I can too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we are building them for their success through modeling. So I know we're coming up to a close. TYB, you have any few last words before we close? But wow, that was, yeah, thank you.
Actually, I've enjoyed this conversation really, really, really much because we are throwing in the gems of life, what this show is all about. And I appreciate the fact that you address certain issues in a personal way for people to understand, not in a theoretical kind of fashion, but practical. Practicality is what is needed, and I appreciate the invitation to be on this program. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot because this is the kind of around the table issues that we have to be talking about, not about things that doesn't sort of put spices in our lives. There are so many things that are, to me personally, there are so many things out there that if it doesn't sort of conform to making my life better, I don't look at it.
Mm-hmm.
My whole thing is that I look forward, I don't look back. Yes, my motto in life is forward ever, backwards never, because 99.99999% of the time we move forward, we look back. Very tiny decimal point there. So I always look at it, and I always have space in my life, a small space in my life for rejection. I always plan, if something is not going to happen, that's fine. Yes, that's life. We don't expect everything to be 100%. So I'm not a perfectionist. I will never be a perfectionist. I will make mistakes. That will make me human. And for that, I've enjoyed my time with you today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure just having you here and showering us with your presence.
Thank you.
Truly appreciate it. Um, I'm gonna bring you here. Any last words? And I just want to say thank you for being here as well.
No,
Truly, yeah. Thank you for sharing your story as well.
yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. This is my first ever like large audience engagement. So
Mm,
I was really nervous coming into this, I'm not gonna lie. And
Yeah.
like but like it's just like talking to your girlfriend or talking to a friend, like just like have a conversation.
yeah.
So I just want to thank you for this platform that you have created. Um and the name is and the name is so amazing, the gems of life. You know what I mean? Like even if like you could take away one little piece about whatever you spoke about today, like it could impact your life for generations to come. So so I just want to thank you just for having this platform, and thank you for inviting me. Um and thank you, Mr. T, for everything that you have done in my life, because what you have done is now affecting not only me but also affecting my kids as well. So I just want to thank you and Miss Janice again. Um, just for even even though it may look very small what you guys have been doing in my life, a small little bit goes a long way in the end. So I just want to thank you. So
Mm. Wow, thank you so much. You're a beautiful soul.
thank you.
You're a beautiful soul. I can see many great things happening in your life, already happening in your life, and more to come.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Just stay on course. And you know what? I'll love to connect with you for sure
Yes.
for this as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Really enjoyed our conversation. Wow. And to our global listeners, ah, I hope you picked more than a gem or two. Because there was tons of gems that we shared, on this show today. I would love to connect with you. Send us any messages. If we didn't check any messages, just send us, and I'll be more than happy to actually respond back to those questions for next week. I'm holding you accountable for your actionable steps and your vision that you have. I'd love to hear more about it next week. So do connect, please. And if you have any questions, I'd love to support you on that as well. And if you want to connect with me, well, find me. Google my name, Fadhwa, the Gems of Life Show, or actually go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment. There's tons of content there that you can benefit from, or send me a message and I'll be happy to connect with you. Till then, stay well and safe. Bye bye.